Hey everyone, it's almost Christmas, but before Santa does his home invasion, let's see if we can squeeze in another episode of the Weekender. This week we're giving away the Warhammer Underworlds Direchasm box set. Look at this big beastie. What a cool way that would be to start the new year. If you want to be in for a chance of winning that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and get a comment down below. And for an extra chance to win, come on over to OnTableTop.com and get a comment in there too. Right, let's get on with this Christmassy show. It's almost Christmas! Oh yeah! Look at me! Look, I'm all Christmassy, Ben. I'm all Christmassy, Jerry.
I know
They
you've
are
got
very red and white, yeah.
You've got your own little grotto there. Lovely.
That's it. It's my grotto. It's my Christmas grotto. I got to make the most of it because my missus, she born Christmas Day, so that kind of ruins Christmas for me. But in a nice way. But it still ruins Christmas for me. But in a nice way. Because I got to make like at least the first half of the day all birthday.
Right.
Like balloons, happy birthday banners and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I've got a Christmas tradition that I love. I absolutely love, which is to buy a big cake, a 16-person cake, and give it to the missus on Christmas Day. And she's ruined it. She has ruined my Christmas fun by buying a 2-person cake. Can you believe it? Normally I give her the 16-person cake and she can spend the next 3 days trying to eat it all. But now she got the 2-person cake, and she's destroyed my feeder, my Christmas feeder fun.
Is a 16-person cake like a tabletop? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's 6x4.
Is it roughly compared to the size of a saga board? How big would it be?
If you put 4 of them together in terms of saga board, you'd probably get there. But I don't particularly like chocolate cake, but the missus, she can't resist it. So every year, bang, 16-person cake, Christmas Day.
So that's the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day, I imagine she unwraps her Christmas present of some insulin and a couple of needles.
Well, that's about a week later.
Yeah.
Got the diabetes.
Can you believe that? All locked up
it's
all year,
outrageous.
looking forward to whacking down the big cake, only to find out she's bought her own cake. It's already a year of of having trouble buying gifts because everything I normally buy gifts from is closed. Normally I like to do the jewelry thing and stuff like that, but they're closed.
They're all gone. Everybody's gone.
Silver lining though, I won't be standing at the card shop in a big queue Christmas Eve to get the balloons. No way. No way.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Same. Bonus.
And I got the pandemic to thank for that, so it's one good thing.
Well done, COVID.
There's always a silver lining. You just have to look hard enough.
Yeah. One good thing. Yep. Right, chappies. Speaking of Christmas, we are getting close to Christmas. We're going to have content over Christmas here at OTT. We're going to be doing a Frostgrave week. Well, what have we got coming up?
We're going to be rolling about in the snow, frolicking. Might be snowball fights, possibly snowmen.
Snow angels?
I think that's definitely snow angels. And then we may also do some game stuff as well. Because we're not going to be here next week, I'm going to be stuffing a turkey for about 3 days. We're going to be kicking off a week of Frostgrave fun with a interview with the creator, Joe. Then we're going to be throwing in a bit of painting and hobbying stuff. So there's a vlog about the table we're building and painting. When I say building and painting, builded and painted, because these are all in the future for you, but the past for me. So that's all the Krobnik Frostgrave stuff. That's going to come out in a vlog, and John's going to show us how to do some wizards as well for your warband. There'll be 2 Let's Plays where I'll be showing how you can take a Justin. Any Justin will do. You don't need our Justin. And teach it how to play a Frostgrave game solo. And then taking what he's learned from that, we'll be playing a big versus game then as we race to the top of a tower for some spectacular goodies. And to cap it all off, we then have another extended interview with Ben, Joseph, and myself about the plans for expanding Frostgrave and some of the things you can do with the game.
Very cool.
Nice. So you can sit there topping up on your turkey. Nom 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 nom. turkey sandwich galore, watching the
turkey
Frostgrave
curry.
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it's quite apt because it's all frosty and frozen and snowy the world, so that's kind of cool.
It
But
is.
if that ain't enough, we have prizes as well. Don't we,
We
Ben?
do. Yeah. So we're going to be giving away 3 bundles across 3 of our sort of spheres of influence. So we have some stuff to give away through OnTableTop, commenting there. We've got some stuff to give away on YouTube to commenters. And then there's also an additional option for those people that are Cult of Games members to also win as part of these bundles. So the actual bundles themselves contain a Frostgrave 2nd edition rulebook, bing, the Red King expansion, bing, which is also very, very new, and also a plastic set of boxes which is different for each of the different spheres. So if you're a cultist, you
A plastic set of boxes. Don't you mean a box of plastic minis?
A box of plastic miniatures would be the right way to say it. Yeah. So for Cult of Games, you could win yourself some cultists. Over on YouTube, you could win some barbarians. And on tabletop, you can get the Soldiers 1 set. And these are perfect for you to sort of like get started in the game and build your first warband to sort of dive into Frostgrave 2nd edition. So yeah, very cool.
Sweet. If you're a cultist, you'll be loving that because you'll have extra chance to do a jammy dance.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because you could comment as on tabletop, and that's a chance to win. You can comment on YouTube, that's a chance to win. And because you're a Cult of Games member, that gives you another chance to win.
Exactly.
What are you waiting on? Get those comments in if the week's
Well,
already
they're
started.
waiting on the videos to go out, yeah.
Oh yeah, don't comment on this. We have our own prize. You know, comment on this week's show for that prize that we're giving away. Not this stuff. That starts next week.
Yes.
Right, chappies. Speaking of next week, there's going to be no Weekender next week and no XLBS. This is the last ones before Christmas. So,
Indeed.
Happy Crimbo and Happy New Year. Or is it Merry Crimbo and Happy New Year? Merry Crimbo and Happy New Year.
Happy Kwanzaa.
That's it. We're taking a wee break. There'll still be content going out. Like we've said, we've got Frostgrave week, and the week after that, there'll still be stuff going out on the website.
Yes.
There'll still be vids and stuff going up on YouTube. It's just it's just the Weekender and the XLBS are taking a 2-week break, and they should be back on the 8th of January.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a delightful interview with Ash Barker about his game Gamma Wolves going out on New Year's Day. In place of us, you'll get to see me and Ash instead, where we mostly stay on topic, which is not easy for either of us. And probably not easy for whoever's had to edit that. Lucky.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh,
but
it's delightful.
But it's great because it gives us a bit of extra time to play with whatever we get for Christmas.
Exactly.
Eh?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hanging out at my own grotto.
Painting between all the lights that you've strung up over your workspace.
I think I can squeeze in. Don't panic, people. Don't panic. I know it's all metal, but I got a special plug down there that if I get zapped, it should cut the current.
I like the should bit as well. You can set up all the elves. Just hook out every elf you can find and set them up all around your shelves watching
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That's it. That's it. If anyone wants to send me anything for Christmas, an elf on the shelf. It can sit up there next year. A naughty elf on the shelf. Right, peeps. Let's get stuck into this show and let's find out what's going on with the end of the week.
It's Frostgrave week and we have 3 amazing bundles to give away. We'll be choosing winners from the comments on 3 of our communities. 1 from the comments on YouTube, 1 from the comments from OnTableTop.com, and from the Cult of Games members' comments, so you guys get an extra chance to win. Drop those comments in and we hope you enjoy the week.
Yeah, so the indie of the week that we're looking at this time around is the guys at Titanforge. Now, they have been around for many, many years, actually. They've most recently been in the news because we've been talking about their 3D printing Patreon. But Titanforge also sell a whole bunch of miniatures in resin and 28mm for both your fantasy and sci-fi games as well. So you're going to be diving in and sort of exploring their web store of opportunities that they have on offer. So,
Well, where will we get started, chappies?
we will start wherever you prefer. So we'll start in fantasy.
We know where you'd like to start.
Well,
if Ben's giving the options, so I think you need to steer him away from
there.
there.
Yeah, we're not going there. Nope.
Okay, so let's go with Asian Warriors then. Let's start off with Asian Warriors.
Oh, let's start at the top.
Yeah,
Oh, that's madness.
Stars we mean to go on would be the
Yep.
way forward. So this actually contains a large degree of some of their newer miniatures. When I say newer, sort of this year and that kind of thing. But this is their kind of sort of fantasy samurai style armies that they've been put together, which includes obviously a lot of the sort of core troops that you need for playing games, which is really awesome to see. So, for example, you've got the Ashigaru bowmen here and everything like that. But on top of that kind of stuff, they've also got loads of characters that you can throw into the mix as well. And they've even not just necessarily done Japanese stuff, but there's also a lot of Chinese-inspired folklore miniatures and mythology stuff in there as well.
Where's that in this section?
Yeah, it should be in this section, unless they moved the. Oh, there you go. There's some of the
hello.
Chinese stuff, the Dragon Cavalry. So, yeah. So some really fantastic looking bits and pieces here. As I said at the start of this is all sort of 28mm scale, so it works perfectly with all the kind of fantasy games that you might be playing right now. Maybe if you're someone who really likes the idea of building like a cool Nippon army for sort of like Warhammer fantasy battles, and then moving that over into 9th edition, ninth age, sorry, this would be a pretty interesting way to go with these, which would be pretty awesome.
Hey, this is cool. Do they come with the bases?
If you click on that, you'll be able to see. So there you go. They come with those bases. Yeah, so they've got sculpted street bases. There you go. Look.
Delightful.
Yeah, very nice.
Let's see.
I've seen a lot of people rocking
there you
fantasy
go.
samurai.
Scenic bases. Yeah.
As elves for things like
Oh,
Kings of
that'd be a
War,
good idea, actually.
because they're always going, well, I don't just want to play men with them. Going, well, represent elves then,
yeah,
which is spot on for them.
Oh, cannons.
No, you don't need cannons.
And this kind of shows off like the breadth of stuff that they've got, at least for some of their races. I mean, in particular, things like the Japanese stuff, and also for the dwarves, which we'll look at later on. They basically have everything you need to make an army for them. So they have all of your heroes, all of your characters, all your mainline troops, all your artillery monsters, and that kind of thing.
This guy looks like, what's that, Lupin?
Lupin from
Big Trouble.
Big Trouble.
Yeah.
But as I say, it's a really nice little sort of like love letter to kind of like Japanese and Chinese folklore and mythology, which I think is really nice, because you've got a lot of traditional looking stuff in there, but then you've got a lot of things borrowed from myths and legends and that kind of stuff too, which is always nice to see. Things are a little bit different that you might not necessarily have seen before as well. Like I particularly liked Horimizu there, who's like riding on the
koi carp.
The koi carp. Yeah. I thought it was a really awesome little addition.
That's a beautiful figure. Like you say, incredibly different from what you would normally see. I need a mage. I need a mounted mage for a game. Why not have a giant fish?
Exactly.
Why not?
Or dog beasts, liney beasts.
Food,
what are they?
Temple dogs. Yeah.
Flipping heck.
They are excellent.
Yeah.
I was going to say they're cool, but we're supposed to find new words. Someone complained in the comments.
Amazeballs.
Amazeballs will do, yeah.
Fantastique. There you go.
Book. Well, just be like the hip kids and just say it's book.
It's rad. There you go.
It's sick. This entire range is sick. There you go.
At least we're not going full Dublin. We're just going deadly. They're all deadly. Look at them. Look at those there temple dogs. They're deadly. They are.
One of the things I always liked about sort of Japanese mythology is Oni. I just think Oni are some of the coolest ideas. And so seeing them as part of like an army is really awesome to see. Although I always imagine Oni in like bright red skin. And I think it may be that I've been inspired by like Bushido and what they've done in the past, but that tends to be like the way that I view them.
I have to admit,
it's cool seeing them painted this way as well.
If I was going to do the Oni, I'd probably go with the bright demony red skin as well. But maybe
it might be different flavors of Oni.
True.
Not only one.
Oh my god.
What? The ninja and monks as well. No, just move on. It's best not to
look at this.
Not to play with them. See, and that right there, that's alternative war altar for your Empire army.
Yep.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is, Lupang himself. That's cool.
The thing that I quite like about what Titanforge have done as well, like throughout, especially some of their newer stuff. Yeah, there you go. Is that they've added lots of like painted miniatures alongside the traditional resins and the renders and that kind of thing. So you actually get a look of how they're going to be when you get them to the tabletop, which is always nice to see. Well, I say get them to the tabletop if you can paint them as well as this, but yeah. Very cool.
Gee
These days,
whiz.
you just need to bung on contrast paint. Isn't
Yeah,
it,
I think
nowadays?
contrast would actually probably work really
Yeah.
nicely for these with all the big bright poppy colours and everything across the
And
range. So.
there's not huge flat panels. There are in the ninjas because they've all got cloaks. So
Yeah.
you may run into issues with that, but the rest, because it's quite a lot of overlaid lacquer scale and that sort of thing, you're not having to
Yeah.
worry about the issue with tide marks that contrast throws out on flat things.
Sweet.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right, that's one. That's just a one flipping section.
That is just one army, and one of them are
Oh, there's
more recent
fantasy
ones
as
they've
well,
done.
and sci-fi, right?
There is
Okay.
fantasy and sci-fi.
Well, we flick over and have a look at some sci-fi then and see what.
Yeah, you can open up the humans faction and see what's in there. So
You're just trying to move away from the letter that we dare not speak.
So yeah, a lot of what they did for the sci-fi collection was kind of taking the idea of sort of like your super soldiers and that kind of thing, and sort of like taking a lot of hints from the likes of 40K, but then mixing that together with kind of traditional views of space marines from like things like Alien and Starcraft and that kind of thing as well. So there's a really nice mishmash of all the different styles that they've done for these, which I think is really nice.
And clearly some Western stuff here as well.
Well, yeah, of course. But it's the kind of stuff that you could use. Remember, like I think it was a couple of years ago, like Warren was talking about the idea of making a generic sci-fi army. These are the kind of miniatures you could use to try and do that, because they'd be able to cross like a whole bunch of different games and genres. You could use these in things like Warpath, for example, as well. Would be a really good option for these. But as I say, because they're kind of like so generic sounds like a bad term, but because they're so generic, they work across a lot of different.
Yeah, they're not tied specifically to an IP. I mean, if you want to break out J.R. McCready there and go for full on Galaxy Rangers, I had to look it up because I could remember the cartoon, but I couldn't remember the name. I just replay the Galaxy Rangers on the tabletop, then that's definitely doable. Or GCPS.
I remember when these first came out, my mate was so excited to try and like build an army using these, because I think he wanted to try and do like an alternative Imperial Guard Astra Militarum force that use these guys as kind of like the Tempestus Scions of the time kind of thing. This was way before they came out, but these were going to be like the army that he used for these as a sort of like standard. I love that there's loads of Doom vibes going on, and there's like a little bit of Gears of War in there as well. So they've sort of crossed all sorts of different facets of sci-fi, which is really nice to see. So.
See, Egon was wrong. Sometimes you should cross the streams.
You should cross the streams, yeah.
Yeah, some of them you could even like have an Infinity one week and then like 40k the next week.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that sort of has that sort of style to it.
Yeah.
Like this little squad of guys here looks like a fire team.
Yeah.
And then you could mix that with where are they? Well, these for a start, but there was guys on bikes like these.
Terror bikes, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Not to be confused with the Terrorhawks, which was different.
What's this? Oh, it's almost dwarfy looking, but we'll click it anyway. Stumpy.
Oh god. Yeah. So yeah, they did obviously some big chunky walkers as well, because like
that's
what
proper
army would be
Starship
complete?
Troopers.
Exactly. Yeah.
People get a
Use
very
those
bad
to go and
idea.
hunt some bugs. Yeah. So.
People get a bad idea of Starship Troopers because of the film Starship Troopers. But the actual book, and to a lesser extent the cartoon, when they did the cartoon, really showed off the mad power armor suits that they had in that. And that's more like it. And there's somebody who should be on the back of a truck.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Look at that tongue on that. That's
yeah, he's gone a bit cultist slash Gene Simmons, one or the other.
Right.
One and the same, I think, most of them.
Back to fantasy. If we go Far East, is that similar to the Asian stuff, or is it different?
So this is
here we go. It's different.
slightly it's mistitled in a way, but this is more Middle Eastern. So this is kind of driven off the kind of Arabian Nights style fantasy that you might want to play around with on the tabletop, which is pretty cool. So you got your flying carpets, as you might imagine, which is always nice to see.
Aircav.
Yeah, but you've got lots of nice little characters in here that would be really nice for maybe doing again a differently themed human army, for example, in a fantasy game. Maybe even pick up some of the characters and use them as your role-playing heroes as well would be a nice option as well. So
these are cool.
Yeah. The detail on the horse curtains is particularly nice.
Now it says 3D print here. Is this not resin models we're looking at then? So this is 3D prints.
So some of them are 3D printable, some of them are resin miniatures that you can buy. So
So obviously someone's whacked this out of one of those fancy panty resin printers that people have.
Yeah. So it's a mix of different things across their range. I mean, some of their older ones are most definitely there as applicable resin miniatures that you can go out and pick up and whatever. But a lot of the other ones you can just get as 3D prints and that kind of thing as well. So there's a mixed bag of things depending on how you want to approach things, really, because a lot of people are picking up 3D printers and playing around with those nowadays. But the thing I like about this kind of range and going off in a different direction when it comes to sort of like your fantasy and sort of drawing on other different cultures and folklores and stuff is that it immediately allows you to have an entirely different spin on approaching it and also painting it at the same time. Like obviously we talked about when it came to the Far Eastern stuff and the sort of Japanese and Chinese stuff, you've got lots of different poppy colors. The same applies to what you see here with the Middle Eastern things, because obviously you've got lots of blues and purples and that kind of things mixed in with gold and all that kind of stuff as well. Got your cool gin as well, which is pretty awesome to see. I do love a good gin.
I stick to the whiskey myself. We all knew that was coming. Exactly. Don't be surprised.
Yeah. So yeah.
I love I love Captain Badgie Head there. But yeah, it's the over the top ones. The fat paymaster looking fellow who had a touch of the Orson Welles about him.
Oh yeah, very true.
Yeah, doesn't he though?
Yeah. I could see him being a nice addition to someone who's maybe making something a little bit Dogs of War-y. If you're going to like look back at the old world using one of those at the head of your mercenary caravan.
He looks much better than Shake Your Dosh. Which was the name of him. Oh no!
Where did we go?
You clicked on something.
I'm trying to go to Human Empire. I'm trying to click on anything except dwarves at the moment.
Right. Yeah. So there's not so many for these, but these are some of the
forcing you onto dwarves.
Exactly.
That's nice. Well, look at this.
Yeah. So these are again slightly more sort of empire themed, but you could also use them as kind of Bretonians if you wanted to go down that route. Especially as I said earlier, if you're doing something a little bit more night agey. I can't believe you just skipped by them.
Well, there wasn't much in it, so I skipped onto a section with more, and and the dwarves while I was at it.
So these were arranged that they actually worked on way back when Titanforge started. I'm just fuming in the background. So.
Look at this. How could you be fuming? Look at what we're looking at.
Exactly.
So orcs.
Yeah. So they basically took the concept of orcs and they took the concept of basically every horror game and miniature that has ever existed and blended the two together to create a slightly more unique looking army, which I thought was really nice. And they've also done that with the ogres, which we'll look at later as well. But you could kind of use these either as like your orc army or your undead army, I guess, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So, this guy's both orky and undead at the same time. Look at that. Yeah. He's got his undead brother coming out of his back.
Yeah.
Just being possessed up.
Yeah,
I remember
these ghostly brothers. Yeah.
They have a set of ghosts, both goblin and orcs, which they're look ideal for spirit hosts.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice selection of sort of like vignette pieces, dioramas, and everything as well as part of this one. And like, as much of a dwarf fan as I am, I do like myself a good goblin and a good orc. I think they're really fun to paint, and these kind of like take up that fun level to like a next level, I guess you'd say. Which is really nice to see.
Here we go, undead orcs.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you looked at an undead army and thought, oh, well, they're all just humans? Whereas this kind of gives you the alternative, which I think is really nice to see. A bit like Richter Kruger's Cursed Company from back in the day. So if anyone knows that, you get an internet cookie. So
but they could be using a few more options. If this is like you're trying to build an entire, well, I suppose you're just building one unit of undead.
Yeah.
Just say.
No, and if you mixed up the way that they were ranked up in terms of like as you went further back, I don't think you'd sort of notice too much of the kind of replication of sculpts and that kind of thing. So yeah,
I'm shocked that the wolves are actually wolves and not dire boars.
It would have been cool to see them as dire boars, actually.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
missed the trick there. May as well give up. It's all gone now.
Here's the man with two brains.
Oh yeah. Now there's a mage for you. Say mage. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Look at that massive guy as well up at
this
the top.
Thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really love this one.
Well, let's see these.
There's your spirit host that Jerry was talking about. Yeah.
Oh, I like them. We could do some ghost busting with them.
Makes you feel good.
Oh, it does make me feel good.
And if you want your major sort of like undead orc / vampire leader, then you've got a really awesome option there. Atop a huge giant as well, spectral giant. So.
The only thing I can think of that would make this any better is if that was a dwarf in there
instead of a human.
I
can see that. Yeah.
Right then.
Maybe it's a dwarf.
Terrible.
It's just a dwarf. They've shaved the beard off and he's starving.
Get ready.
That's why he's so wean.
I'm gonna treat you to the Where have we gone?
He's just opened up a random section.
Oh,
so.
here we go. Undead. There we go. You thought you were going to get your dwarves. You don't. All right. There's only 3 in here. Skip. Fantasy. Ogres.
The ogres are really good. The ogres are really good. So like what they did with the orcs, where they took the concept of orcs and mashed them together with the undead to try and make a different style of army. With the ogres, they went away from the kind of classic sort of Mongolian-inspired look to the ogres that we got with Warhammer, and they instead went for pirate ogres. So imagine a pirate ship, maybe 3 times as big and packed full of ogres instead. And that's kind of what you get with these vibes here, which I think is really cool. And again, a really nice varied assortment of different options that they designed for these.
Yeah. And at the time, it was all perfectly valid for Warhammer. I'm not sure how it fits with Age of Sigmar, because I know some of the ogre stuff still exists. But things like, I'm not sure if things like the scrap launcher and sky cannon and stuff.
Oh, they still exist, yeah.
Do they? All right. So
yeah,
for example, the Gator cannon, I think, is a replacement for the sky cannon.
Yeah.
Because they're all sized appropriately. Yeah. Especially if you want to go, surfing in on the back of crocodiles or alligators.
Exactly. I mean, the Age of Sigmar world, the mortal realms are varied and vast. So having buccaneer ogres would not necessarily be something that wouldn't fit effectively.
Specifically, the anchor bashers look like they're the ideal people to send out to start smashing the Caradon.
Oh yeah,
whatever they're called.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Instead of normal ogre pirates, ogre sky pirates versus Caradron overlords. That'd be amazing. Yeah, think of that. That's cool.
I do have a deal here, but it's not exactly cheap if you're trying to build an entire army.
Oh, yeah, it's resin. That's you paid your money, takes your chances.
Yeah. Probably cheaper than buying an army of Games Workshop products to the same level.
I was going to say, it's probably comparable in the grand scheme of things.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've got cavalry in there, as well as your giants, don't forget. And that's ogre cav, so that's ogre-sized people on giant ogre-sized crocodile. Is it a crocodile or an alligator?
Oh, yeah, let's try and find those.
The only way we'd be able to know for certain is if
the Gator Dive team, there you go.
If they were going to see us later or in a while. Yeah. Otherwise, we can't tell.
I guess they're alligators then, yeah. Gators, yeah. So, although they are obviously bigger than the average gator. So they're clearly from the prehistoric period, obviously. So,
we talking about gators are big.
They're fairly massive.
Oh yeah, they are big. I mean, not that big, but they're big. Yeah.
Massive. Have you never watched Tarzan?
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, true.
Right then, here we go. Demons. Here we go.
You wound me. So yeah, obviously these are demons that they've designed, which are again inspired by the look and feel of sort of Warhammer ones. So they have that kind of Zentian, Nurgle, Khorne, and Slanesh feel to a lot of their different miniatures. These are some of the, I think they were probably some of the most early ones they did back in the day as well. Yeah. A nice little selection of different things here. They've done sort of a lot more rank and file things. Lots of big beasts as well. Because I guess when you think about it, back when these eventually came out, there was a lot of the core troops had already been sort of sorted. So instead you wanted to try and throw in a few more monsters to try and make things a little bit different, which is always nice to see, obviously. But for a lot of these, actually, while they've got the kind of like pestilent vibe or the bloodthirsty vibe, etc., depending on what kind of chaos gods you wanted to worship, these would actually be quite nice as kind of like a lot of generic demons as well. So maybe you were doing something set in sci-fi or a different area of fantasy. These would be good for that too.
I could ghostbust these as well.
Yeah, those particularly, I mean, depending on how you feel like painting those, they could be any chaos power you want, all or none, you know.
They could even be something a little bit more sort of like mutant and monstrous if you wanted to paint them in that way and use again in like a sci-fi context. So
want to throw some of those Doom-esque sci-fi trippers up against them. On the tabletop,
that would work. That looks very Doom-like.
He's a badass as well.
Speaking of badass, if you look at the little plague imps,
breastplate,
there's quite a lot of badasses in them.
These jobs.
Oh yeah, they've got their bottoms out
because they've got Lloyd shots for the bottoms.
Oh,
way!
Look at that.
Knew that would appreciate you, though.
Builders' bums everywhere.
Yep. Like somebody's eating a human hand there. Nom, nom,
pestilent
nom.
bottoms.
And that brings us to the end of that, doesn't it, Ben?
Whoa.
You've built that
I've
juggernaut.
entertained this long enough. Have you not seen my hat? Right, I've
Hello.
got my dwarven hat on for a reason.
Oh,
that
I
we
couldn't
can-
see your ears because they're not ears, they're horns.
the horns. Although unfortunately they were sewn a little bit further back on the hat. But there you go. Look, my little dwarven horns. Boop.
Okay,
Yeah. Let me be dwarven for 5 minutes.
that's it. Right, Mr. Horny, let's go and see what you want to see.
Yeah,
Right, this better be good because you've built it up so much.
I have. Yeah.
You've done nothing but talk about
Turns
dwarves
out there's
constantly.
only 2 dwarves in it.
They've
oh,
discontinued the range. Yeah.
Oh, there's quite a lot of dwarves. Yep.
Yeah. So
Very
again, this.
sweet. Now moving on.
Whoa. So this was one of the early ranges again that they did, and they kind of mashed together a little bit of sort of like fantasy dwarves that you'd be typically familiar with, but with the idea of them kind of like, obviously dwarves are a like dying race within most fantasy settings, and so it would clearly behove the engineers of different dwarven holds to instead make
That's
guardians
because
for their armies. So
they've eaten too many 16-person cakes at Christmas.
they have, yeah. They eat an entire 16-person cake and then drink too much beer, and it doesn't mix well.
Then their feet fall off.
Yeah,
Mechanical
that's why they've
dwarves.
got no knees.
This
Yeah.
is cool. Why didn't we look at this sooner, Ben?
Oh my god! Right, so these are their like steam warriors and stuff that they've built called the Anvilborn, which I think are just amazing. And it's again another really nice alternative to making a traditional dwarven army. And you know how we were talking about the Mortal Realms and Age of Sigmar before? These would be a perfect fit for that because they've tried to bring in a lot more of that kind of like science magic element of things into that sort of into their sort of high fantasy world. So these would be a really nice mix for those people trying to make a Duardin force or something. So yeah, really cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
I mean, I love those guys. The Ancestral Guardians are fantastic, and I love that. Like, you could either work it as it's just a robot, or you could do it as someone who's actually piloting it at the same time, sort of stuck in the top. So I think that's a really nice little addition. So yeah, very cool. In fact, these are really tempting me, and it's really annoying. So
I like the Zeppelin as well.
Yeah,
because you could just break out the Zeppelin in place of, well, I suppose gyrocopters in the old days. These days, I would ally those in as elven Drakon riders into Dwarf Army. That way you don't have to have any elves on the table. Just go see those flying dirigibles with guns. That's what they are. Eat hot dragon breath from my steam anvil.
So yeah, it was a really nice sort of like inventive sort of range when it came out, and it still is. I mean, I know Warren's played around with the ideas of sort of 3D printing some of their elements and stuff in the past, which is really cool. So
3D printed their elephants.
Is this resin stuff then, or 3D printing stuff?
So this is all resin stuff that you can buy. So this is all their traditional range.
Fairly certain if you go right to the top, there is a runesmith type fellow in a machine with 2 huge fists. Yeah. Warren has printed that, and by Warren I mean he told Justin to print that. So that is available. That is available as a real type thing, but also as a digital file. Somewhere, and then that's if you're
something
into
for your fantasy football. Yeah.
Dwarf Death Roller for the win.
Yeah. With the pilot on top rather than behind.
Yep. So, at least you can see where he's going in this state. There's some really nice figures in here to actually go into my Kings of War Dwarves.
That's it. Really nice. I don't know why we left this to last. I guess you leave best to last, isn't that right, Ben?
That's what they tell me.
Yep.
That's really sweet. So that's TitanForge.com. They do aliens.
Yeah. I don't believe there's too much extra stuff for a lot of these ranges. Oh no, there's a few more of the aliens in there than I thought there were.
There's quite a bit of stuff in there. I don't really have time to click it all because we're going to have to keep the show moving, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to aliens. This one thing, look. Aliens.
The Banshee of Lust. Of course you picked those. There we go.
Aliens.
Very good if you're looking at alternative Eldar.
And machines. One last
they got some tanks in here, which are pretty cool. So yeah. And a dropship. So yeah, very cool. I think a lot of this stuff actually was kind of aimed at the sort of like Warpath market when it originally came out. So these would be nice for those people trying to make Enforcers armies a little bit different maybe as well. So yeah.
I could see that.
Sweet.
Look at that. Tanks with actual treads.
Big chunky tanks with massive guns. Yeah.
Tracks galore. Look at that. Right.
Tracks. Put some tracks on your tracks.
Also do bases. Some games and stuff, 3D prints. All the goodness. Thank you very much, Ben.
No worries.
My favorite bit was the dwarves. I was dying to get to see those the whole way through that, but you left it too long. Left it too low. Right, peeps.
Yep.
Let's move on and let's look at the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
So, diving into the news, we start off with some Games Workshop stuff, as we tend to do. There's only a little tiny morsel of an offering from Games Workshop this time around, but for 40,000 players, Warhammer 40,000 players, sorry, I should say, and lovers of orcs, you've got 2 miniatures to look forward to. Not an entire army, but
Well, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I was surprised at the amount of news that was actually out this close to Christmas. I thought it would really dry up. It'll probably dry up next week. You know,
That's
when
right.
they're starting to
we won't
wind
be here
it
to
down
see them,
now.
so.
So
that's
yeah.
it. When
Won't
we're off
be
sunning ourselves in our gardens in the winter heat.
here. Or
Lovely.
they'll release the biggest things ever, and we won't be here to talk about it. But there we
Plastic Thunderhawk.
Oh, that's it.
Finally,
Drop it on Christmas Day.
That's it.
Boom.
That's the way this is going to work out, isn't it? It is.
But this is a new miniature. There's actually a little bit of a classic reimagining of an older miniature. So this is Gorzag Git Stomper and his lovely friend Nickit, who are going to be available from Warhammer stores. So bear that in mind, Warhammer stores.
Physical
locations.
stores.
Yes.
Okay.
From the 26th of December through till the 3rd of January. But have no fear if you cannot get to a store because of the event. You may also be able to go and pick it up later on down the line from online stores and also from Games Workshop themselves. So pretty good.
He's wearing
The miniature
nail
itself,
polish.
yeah.
Wow.
You know, he's just that kind of guy. But Gorzag Git Stomper is actually based on an old miniature that was available at a Games Day back in the day, which was itself taken from the cover of the Gorka Morka rules, as you can see there. So they've reimagined this miniature now to fit in with the new version of the Orcs for Warhammer 40,000. And
So
there is the classic, as we
Let-
live and breathe.
Let's compare.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think they've slightly made him more... They've made him less gangly in the new version, I think.
Well, he wasn't gangly in the old version. He's muscular. He's fatter in the new version.
He
And
is, well, that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
He's got his knife back to front.
Yeah, he's
'Cause
wider in the new version.
He's like Steven Seagal. That's it. He's holding his knife like Steven Seagal. And he's also got the pot belly just like Steven Seagal does now.
He's going to make sure that he hires a whole bunch of people to just fall over in front of him to show off his
Yeah,
martial arts skills. That's
not
the-
smash cats.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm flicking back and forth between them. I do like the new one. It's
It
not
is
very-
cool. It
It's
is
not
cool.
very, it's not very Christmassy.
Well,
But-
no.
Look, I'm more Christmassy for goodness sakes than this.
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
know
he's
why.
stealing a bag of bullets, which was clearly a present for some Imperial Guardsman somewhere. So, you know,
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
for their auto gun.
Well, they had the Christmas miniature already. This is
So they
just,
have done, yeah. This is just a follow-on, yeah. So.
I have no idea what this is. I assume this is our store will be open. We want people to come out.
Yeah,
Therefore,
basically.
we make people come to our store to get this miniature.
A Boxing Day offering, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, looks kind of cool. Maybe it is a portent of what's to come in 2021. It would be
Do you
really
think
nice
they
to
might
see a lot
release
more.
new orcs.
Who knows? I'd love to see some Xenos in the new year. That would be really nice. But it's probably not going to be that. But we'll see.
New bigger orcs, Primare orcs.
Primary Orcs, yeah.
Ah,
They've already done it for Age of Sigmar. So
Yep.
who
that's
knows?
true.
I thought we were just going to call them porks.
Orcs.
Orcs work.
That's it.
I
More
mean,
porks
orcs
than
were
the-
traditionally, in a lot of war games,
Pig-faced
pig
things,
orcs,
yeah.
yeah, so makes sense.
Aye, moving on then, considering we got
Yes.
through the Games Workshop news lickety split there.
Yeah, that was great. So yeah, we're moving on from talking about the grim dark future and instead going far, far away. And talking about Lando Calrissian and Agent Callus, who've been previewed properly this time for Atomic Mass and FFG's Star Wars Legion. So these are actually, as I found out from sort of perusing some social media stuff, actually some of the first miniatures that have been kind of like designed in the background by a lot of the team that's moved over to Atomic Mass. So they've got a lot more sort of like of their design philosophy mixed in there as well, which is pretty cool. But as you might imagine, you get the scallywag, as we know him, Lando Calrissian, who is a Billy D. Williams as well. Such a badass. He even comes, as you can see there, with a couple of different capes, because you can't go wrong with a good cape, which is very nice.
Furline 3/4 length one is obviously the way to go.
Very nice. There's even a bit in the latest Battlefront game, I think it is Battlefront 2, where you get to fight as Lando Calrissian, and he asks him why he's still wearing a cape when he's in like this fiery lava world, and he's like, I can't go anywhere without my fashion and that kind of thing. So it's very cool.
Good. Well done him. He's an interesting character as well for
really is, yeah.
Because if you're rocking Han Solo as your commander and Lando's just in as a support, like he can borrow Han Solo's fashion, he can also borrow Han Solo's command card. So if Solo bites the bullet, instead of discarding those, you just get to truck on and keep them, and Lando plays them instead. Yeah. So he has options on the tabletop. Options.
Yeah, he carries those options into like his command hand as a whole as well, because he works with the whole contingency special rule in there as well, so you can keep some sort of sideboarded. So if things aren't going your way, you can bring in some additional cards and use them instead, which is pretty cool.
Genius.
All he needs now is a cloak of invisibility. Whoosh, and be gone.
I think you're mistaking Billy D. Williams with the Hobbit.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Yeah. Does he go invisible too?
He does. He has the invisibility cloak. Yeah. But as well as Lando Calrissian, we've also got a character from the Rebels TV series, which is much awaited as well. So you've got Agent Callus popping up with his badass staff as well, which works as both a gun and a melee weapon.
I thought you were going to say badass sideburns, because that is...
He does also rock badass sideburns. Yes.
He has the amazing mutton chops, huge sideboards on him.
Which you get to see more of when he, changes sides. Spoilers. But
I was going to say that because he is specifically an Imperial fighter in this, but we've already got Sabine Wren from
the Rebels
TV show. Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe down the line, a couple of years' time, we might see the Rebel version of him.
Well, I'd hope so. I mean, because we're seeing Callus now, and it would be nice, obviously, to see Zeb, because that would be a nice contrast between the two. Because you could, obviously, he takes a weapon and he killed most of his peoples.
Nice to have another alien as well for the Rebels, because there aren't enough Rebel aliens in the Alien Rebel faction.
Exactly.
Too many humans.
Yeah. But then, obviously, as you say, this might be a nice sort of like signpost towards what's going to happen next year, which would be pretty cool. I know that one of the guys who designed the miniature, when he was saying on Twitter, was like he'd fought to get Callus in as soon as possible because he really loved the character. So maybe if they're fighting for Callus and those kind of characters, maybe we'll see the rest of the Rebels crew turning up as well, which would be really nice to see. And it's been long overdue for us to get Lando Calrissian as well. I mean, all the rest of the characters have been out for ages.
That's true.
Good to see Lando.
They're just replicating the follow-up trilogy. We're all like, "Where's Lando?" And went on for like 2 movies before he finally popped up.
Yes, yeah.
Sitting on a party planet in a moving caravan.
Yeah. In addition to some sort of like, talking about some more gameplay elements for these characters, they do actually come with these really cool new floor cards. So they are to kind of like mirror their characters from the movies and the TV shows. So obviously Callus has the, his thing is he becomes quite sympathetic for his enemies. And obviously Lando kind of betrays everybody at some point.
Spoilers.
Well, yeah. Spoilers for old films, but yes, there you go. Of course, you never know who's going to be watching them.
Yeah.
But yeah, these floor cards get moved into your opponent's hand, and they can be used to kind of like tweak things a little bit and sort of throw a spanner in the works, which is pretty awesome. And an additional kind of like gameplay tweak, which I think is really nice.
What are you on about? He had no choice. The Empire arrived just before they did.
Well, I mean, that is true. Yeah.
What you gonna do?
He was just looking out for the best interests of.
That's it.
Bestman.
So. He had a choice.
That guy running around with his ice cream maker as well.
That's it. He had a choice with his mate being dead or his mate being frozen. Now, which would you pick?
Very true. Yeah.
Obviously, the frozen
one. I was going to say, can I pick the mate?
This does also bring us on to some interesting stuff that came out towards the end of last week, actually, as well.
Where are we going, Ben? I want to know who Jay wants to freeze.
Oh.
Well, depends. If I have a choice between dead and frozen, I'd like to know which friend it is first. And then I will tell you which one.
Okay. Moving on then. Yeah. Moving on.
This leads us on to some Star Wars news that came out last week, actually, which is that Disney are going all out when it comes to Star Wars. We're getting new TV shows. We're getting new movie. Well, coming on down the pipeline. So we're going to have a Cassian Andor TV show. So that awesome character from Rogue One is going to get himself a new TV show, which would be pretty awesome.
And Cassian Andor will be with him, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Imagine you're talking about K2 when you say awesome.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Like, why is it called Andor? Why is it not called K2?
It should be called K2SO,
Yeah, it should be. I haven't even had the chance to watch any of this.
They're only like sizzle reels, so there's not too much information in these. But they give you a kind of like flavor of what's coming, and they talk to the actors and stuff, which is nice. The Bad Batch one that's also coming out is a really cool sort of spin-off from the Clone Wars, which is going to follow on from obviously the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire. And it'll be really nice to see how much work the Bad Batch actually do for the Empire. Because they actually show a little bit of a shot with Tarkin in this, which is kind of nice, talking to the Bad Batch. So it'll be cool to see how much that kind of goes, and then will they sort of move away from that and start to realize that are we the bad guys kind of thing? Are we going to see that popping up in here, which would be pretty cool? But
why do they have skulls in their hats or something?
Well, they are finding themselves working for the rather dangerous Empire. So yeah, it'll be cool to see how they change that.
I was hoping it was going to be the third part of the Gremlins trilogy, because after Gremlins 2, the new batch, when I heard there was a Bad Batch coming, it was like, oh, get in there.
That's it. I think this is the most exciting bit here, though.
Oh,
well,
Rogue Squadron.
Some of it's the most exciting bit. Is there not supposed to be? Oh, I thought we had the stuff about Hoonicon was coming back to be Darth Vader again.
Oh yeah, so they didn't show off any actual videos of any of this stuff, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show is still in the works. It's not dead, and Hayden Christensen is going to be coming back as Darth Vader. However that's going to work. I imagine he's probably just going to do some voice work, maybe, I suppose, in the background.
Well, no, he still had a face. He didn't have arms and legs, but he had a face.
I guess, and maybe they're going to like put him into the suit, I guess.
You know what?
He was in the suit for the end of Sith.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, but they'll pop his head off and show his face off, because nobody in Star Wars ever wants to keep their helmet on these days. We had Kylo Ren, couldn't wait to get his helmet off. We had the Mando, couldn't wait to get his helmet off. Nobody wants to be, I'm stuck behind a helmet and nobody can see me.
That's actors for you. They should be slapped down. What's more, I suppose, pressing, because I don't really care if Hayden Christian comes back in a pair of platforms or not, is James Earl Jones going to be voicing him?
That would be cool.
And also, James is not a young man.
No. Yeah.
And what they should do is get him into a sound stage now and digitize his voice. Get him to make all the sounds, A, E, I, O, U, all the vowel sounds, all the rest, so that if he does die,
they can continue the voice.
Because in the same way when Jim Henson died, Kermit the Frog sounds like a lunatic now. If I see Darth Vader sounding like somebody else, sounding like Terry Crews or whatever, it will just be so off-putting. And it doesn't matter how good the TV series is. The fact that the voice doesn't match will just be like, you know what, I'm not watching this.
Surely they can fake that now. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. They can if they get him in and just get him to record everything, then they can cut it all together. But they need to get him into a studio and do that sooner rather than later.
We don't want it to sound like a video game where it's all like, Luke, I am your father, and all that.
That's fine. No, they'll be able to do that. It'll be grand.
Technology's come on quite a way, so. But
we're
I mean,
not
obviously,
playing Atmosphere anymore.
Whose turn is it next? But when it comes to like Hayden Christensen, obviously they used his likeness, like kind of behind the mask in one of the episodes of Rebels. So maybe they're going to just use sort of like some of how he looks, and as you say, put him into the suit and have him with the mask off. That could be kind of interesting, especially because obviously Hayden Christensen's a bit older now, so he'll have a bit more of a sort of adult-looking face as well.
They're going to have him swimming about in the back of the tank, having little conversations, bobbing around like a potato.
But yeah, as well, talking about all the other stuff they're going to be doing in terms of like TV shows, they're also going to be doing an Ahsoka Tano TV show, which is going to be a spin-off of The Mandalorian that takes place within that continuity. There's also Rangers of the New Republic, which is going to star Cara Dune probably, and sort of like follow her adventures would be kind of nice.
I think
maybe bringing some new pilots as well.
I think the two pilots who had recurring roles will also pop into that one, because there's no point in introducing them if they're not going to use them.
And this also means that maybe, and we're just nerding out now, we're going to see Ezra Bridger come back, which would be pretty cool. So that'd be awesome. And obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn.
That was the other one, because Thrawn's been voiced by the same Danish actor. So
Yes,
Mads
yeah.
Mikkelsen's brother.
Yeah.
So potentially they could bring him into the live action then.
That'd be
Although
cool.
they recast Ahsoka, so they may recast him as well, but who knows?
They might do. A lot of people have been talking about Benedict Cumberbatch would be an interesting.
Benedicto Cumberbatching.
Yeah, could be an interesting Thrawn. Yeah, that'd be cool. Other TV shows. We just talked about Lando. He's going to get himself a TV show. I would imagine.
What do you mean he's
we're
going
gonna
to get
see-
himself a TV show? He has a TV show. It's called... Oh, wait. Lando. I thought you said Mando.
Oh yeah, there's so many Andos being thrown
Yeah,
around.
that's
But
it.
yeah, so there's going to be a Lando Calrissian TV show coming out, which one would assume is going to be him as a younger individual. And then there's
Well,
also
they
going to be
same actor. They said.
Donald?
Is it? Gonna
they
be-
might use Donald Glover. I suppose.
no.
So.
If it's going to be younger though. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one? That's the guy who was in
Solo.
Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whether or not he does that, because he's doing a lot of music stuff at the moment. But we'll have
That's
to wait
true,
and
but
see. Yeah.
Disney can't back the money truck up to his house.
Very
Beep,
true. Yeah.
Beep. Beep.
There's also gonna be a TV series which is actually going to be set during the High Republic era, which is their new sort of like avenue they're moving down called the Acolyte, which
Just-
should be interesting.
Just bite the bullet, Disney, and do the Revan trilogy, you scumbags.
Yes, just do
Just
the Old
do
Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. People
don't-
want it.
don't
Just
tease
do
us.
it. Yeah.
Especially if you've ever seen Keanu Reeves as
Yes.
Revan.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
There's awful lot of fan art on Tinterwebs about it because the animated version of him in one of the games looked just like Keanu Reeves.
That would be brilliant. That'd be amazing.
And he'd be perfect, perfect age for it. So
Yeah.
just do it now before he's 73 or whatever he is next
Wait,
year.
he's 55 at the minute, I think.
See,
Well, he's rocking around in, John
Wickiness,
Wick and
yeah.
The Matrix and stuff. I'm sure he could do some Star Wars.
55. He's using just for men for sure. He is pure black haired. Pure black haired.
I just think Keanu Reeves is just that badass.
it's where most of the budget goes is just digitizing all of the hair black.
Yeah,
Could
one by
use
one,
dye,
yeah.
but not going to.
Yeah. But as Lloyd alluded to earlier as well, we also have a new movie in the works by Patty Jenkins, who did an excellent job on the Wonder Woman film. She's going to be helming the Rogue Squadron film in the future, which is going to be, as she talks about in the sort of like trailer that you see here, it's going to be a mix
roller
of like,
derby.
Rollerblading around.
Yeah, it's going to be like Top Gun meets Star Wars, so should be pretty awesome. We saw
This
a
is
really awesome
interesting.
Armada battle kind of in Rogue One, so maybe
Yeah.
kind of like doing that to like the 9th degree would be pretty awesome. So.
I'll be keen to see where they go because Rogue Squadron had a fantastic set of books.
It did
Absolutely start with some fantastic characters, much better than
Yeah.
some characters who've appeared in the films. But they were all shelved during the Disney Lucasfilm crossover. They became
are, yes.
legends.
Yeah,
So
they're
none
legends
of them
now,
are
yeah.
none of them are canonical per se.
What
There's no
period-
reason why they can't.
Where in the timeline is that?
It's during the rebellion.
Yeah.
So Rogue Squadron are the guys that
So
Rogue-
after
you know,
Rogue
they
One,
attack on the during Rogue One they're the main elite pilot force for the rebellion. They're the ones who did the trench run. The guys who almost made it into Scarif and then at last minute realized that they didn't want to be killed off early, so they all pulled out. Except what was Skywalker's designation? Rogue 5 or
yeah, Red 5.
no Red 5?
Mhm.
Oh no, so it wasn't Rogue Squadron. Yeah, no, Rogue Squadron might.
Rogue Squadron were like highlighted a lot more
Yeah.
in the video games as well that they did. So yeah.
Corin Horn, I think, who's force sensitive, was one of the big
Although
players. in the-
someone was talking about the fact that it may be like a new Rogue Squadron, so it might be like the Rogue Squadron of the past, like that some of their pilots come back to train like the New Republic's version of them, maybe. But I think it would be nice for them to go back to kind of like the
Oh no,
old school version.
yeah,
of it.
you want to be keeping it.
Anything
keeping it
I
real.
watched, it was like it is Rogue Squadron, but it's going to be a reimagining. Don't expect an exact carbon copy of what you've read about it.
It might be.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm imagining that they're just not going to do anything that I've read about, which is a terrible shame.
Yeah.
The upshot of this, it keeps Atomic Mass Games very busy.
Oh yeah, there's loads of stuff that they can do. Like, and if they have the same fervor for it that they've shown with these new releases and kind of like getting behind it and being really fascinated by it, hopefully we're going to see some really nice stuff in the future. So, I mean, I definitely want more wargaming scale Star Wars miniatures. So, I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. So, yeah.
I
For
could
sure.
be persuaded.
What we need now is a 15 mil based land battles Star Wars game.
It's a mass battle game.
I'd prefer
15
20,
mil.
but I'll take 15.
I'm sure they'll take your things under
imagine that.
advisement. Yeah.
tie crawlers all over the place.
Because if you go 20, the AT-ATs and stuff get really big. The
Yeah.
AT-ATs. 15, they're just a bit tinsy for me, my liking. 20 mil be awesome. 20 mil land battles. Oh yeah. Right, I'm going to move us on. Because we could talk about that stuff all day.
We could do, yeah. So moving on from that, we got some news from Warcradle Studios. They have now got pre-orders available for their new 2-player starter set that takes us back to Dystopian Wars, which is pretty awesome. This is called, it's been a long time coming, but it's finally here. This is Hunt for the Prometheus, which is a new angle for you to dive into the world of steampunk and slightly sci-fi, I guess you'd say, when it comes to Dystopian Wars. So some epic stuff here. So as I say, this is going to be a 2-player starter set that'll get you started in the game. On the one side of things, you've got the Covenant of the Enlightened Fleet, and on the other, you have the Commonwealth Fleet as well. This means that you've got two sort of like very different looking fleets for you to mess around with. On the one side, you've got the Commonwealth, who we're seeing here, that have kind of got like that sort of classic look to them, sort of like standard warships of the sort of like the World War I, World War II era, but obviously with a couple of steampunk additions here and there. And on the other side of things, you've got the slightly more sci-fi looking Covenant of the Enlightened, which I think kind of go a little bit more towards that kind of more pulp angle of things, a little bit more. You get that kind of alien feel about them, a little bit sort of science, but steampunk tied all together kind of thing, which I think is really cool there. Within the one set, you've got 14 ships for the Enlightened and then 16 ships on the side of the Commonwealth. The main sort of focus behind this is that not only does it give you sort of like, well, you and a friend, 2 fleets to get started with Dystopian Wars, but it also comes with a entire campaign, as you can see presented in the booklet there, that details the theft of a prototype ship, and you are sort of both sort of fighting for control of that. So throughout this sort of campaign that you're playing through, you'll learn a little bit more about the mechanics and how it all comes together. And by the end of it, you'll be a dab hand at Dystopian Wars, I don't doubt, especially with so many different ships to play around with. So you've not exactly got a pitiful fleet. You've got quite a few models per side to create quite an epic confrontation, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of multi-part plastics.
Yep.
Stuff the box full.
I'm going to go Wayland's side here because I think there's some more pics there of the bit.
Yeah, so they've broken down all the different components. Yeah.
They're very similar to the guys that Stingray used to go up against.
Yeah, they do it a lot like the merfolk that they had in that show, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
Need to be dealt with immediately, if not sooner.
You can sting a stingray. You can sing a stingray theme tune. Yes, that'd be cool.
Stingray.
Say that too many times. Yeah.
Is this all plastic?
So it's a combination. Most of it is plastic, although there are a couple of resin parts in there as well for you to mess around with. But for the vast majority of it is plastic.
Resin and/or plastic models come unassembled and unpainted, so it's a combination of the two.
Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit of a difference.
The big battleships at the back are
yeah.
And then the mainline sort of frigates and corvettes or whatever they're supposed to be are multi-part plastics.
Yeah. And the cool thing about these as well is that with all of the cruisers and for the frigates in the Covenant fleet, they actually kind of like can be made in different weapon loadouts. So you could build them in different ways if you want to as well. So if you were a dab hand with magnets and that kind of thing, you could play around with the weapon assortment and that kind of thing to sort of design the fleet of your dreams and mix and match it as you're playing, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, a really awesome looking set for sort of diving in and playing Dystopian Wars. And if the quality of what we're seeing here, at least from the web store images and that kind of thing, if the quality of what we're seeing here is up to snuff, then that means that we're going to get some amazing fleets coming down the line. There's loads of different factions in Dystopian Wars. Obviously, a lot of it's been sort of brought together into the world of Wild West Exodus and that kind of thing. But it'll be really cool to see where they go next with this. There are a lot of resources available online already if you want to go and check that out and you've been playing around with the existing fleets from back when this was a Spartan Games product. as well. So yeah, loads of awesome stuff.
What's that? Is that on pre-order now then? Is that what the crack is?
Yeah, so the Hunt for the Prometheus is on pre-order now, and it will be available in sort of late January time. So there's about 40 days left, something like that.
Yeah. Cool. Because I know a lot of dystopian players are just dying to see the game back up and running again.
Yes, yeah, very much so. I think like it's always interesting to see what a company does when it comes to upgrading the miniatures. And I think here you're just seeing a lot more detail packed into each individual sculpt. Like the miniatures that we were seeing way back when, they were kind of plain, I guess you'd say, whereas these ones have got loads of different things sort of bolted on here and there. You can see a lot more of the rivets and the plates and that kind of thing as well. So it's definitely an upgrade.
And I wonder whether or not those are markers for submarines.
Oh, markers. These?
Yeah, the plinths, your favorite base style.
These jobbies here, like, is that their little fin?
I'm wondering if that's them when they're submerged.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely the case. Yeah.
It doesn't look like them. It looks like rocks to me. Because
they might be scenery elements, but
could be torpedoes. Who knows?
Yeah.
Time to tell.
Well, we'll find out sometime in the new year.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to get some unboxing stuff done for these. I think it'd be pretty cool to see. So yeah.
Awesome. Next up, I believe we've got some Marvel news coming in, Ben.
So moving on from that, we go to a Mando of a different stripe. So this is Restoration Games and Mando Games, who have continued to build on their unmatched series of miniature board games, which are really, really awesome, with some Marvel additions to this. So for anyone who doesn't know what Unmatched actually is, it's a board game series that is based on an old Star Wars board game, weirdly enough, where you would take individuals or two individuals and you'd fight each other to see who was best. So it's kind of like going back into that thing of like, who would win in the fight between X and X, right? Well, the guys at Restoration and Mando took that concept and have taken it to the next level, and they've done things like they've included King Arthur, Alice from Wonderland, Beowulf, Bigfoot, Robin Hood, the Jurassic Park Raptors, Bruce Lee, and all these different types of characters. And you could basically pit them against each other to see who would win in a fight.
Ooh, sounds marvelous.
Exactly. And that's where these new sets come in, which is just a no-brainer when it comes to thinking about this, is that they've decided to delve into the Marvel universe and bring together four new sets, actually, two of them pictured here, which are going to be coming out over the next year or so. So we're going to get Hell's Kitchen, which will include Daredevil, Elektra, and Bullseye. Redemption Row, which is Ghost Rider, Luke Cage, and Moon Knight. Teen Spirit, which will feature Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl, she's a thing, and Cloak and Dagger as a dual pairing, which is pretty cool. And then also for King and Country, which will do Black Widow, Black Panther, and Winter Soldier. And as I said earlier, like all of the unmatched games can be played against each other. So you can have the Raptors from Jurassic Park versus Beowulf if you really want to. This now means you could also then have Daredevil versus King Arthur if you wanted to go for something crazy and mess around with it. Each of these sets is actually designed so that they can be individuals, so you can just play them on their own if you wanted. So, for example, with Hell's Kitchen, you could just have it as a nice 3-player board game for you and your friends to play, or you could bring all of it together and just mess around with it and have fun, which I think is just a really nice thing to see.
Well, what are they going to look like? Like, I see obviously the cover here. Have we any idea what the board games physically look like yet?
Well, if you type in unmatched board game into Google and just have a fiddle around in there, they do have some really nice 28mm miniatures that they've actually worked on for a lot of these games. Well, I say 28mm, 28 to 32mm, that kind of like range of heroic stuff.
Hopefully we'll be able to answer the Ghostbusters question then of who would win in a fight between Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you go to images and just have a quick poke around on there, you should be able to see some cool stuff. So there you go. So you can see some of the miniatures up in the top. You've got like Sinbad and Bruce Lee and all sorts of different things like that.
Oh, your favorite.
Try it again.
There we go. Yeah, so the game is basically set up. You have a hand of cards that are based around your character or your pair of characters if you're going to be doing like a team versus game. And then you have the spots on the board that you can move around and secure different objectives rather than just fighting each other if you wanted to do it that way too. And you basically just duke it out to see who's going to be the best. And each of the different sets comes with an entirely new board that's been set up alongside the plastic miniatures and all the cards and stuff you get. So for example, with the Raptor set, It's actually in that one. It's a Jurassic Park one. So you've got a hunter that is like a clever girl, and then you've also got 2 raptors that are trying to hunt them down, which I think is pretty awesome. So they've kind of mixed everything together to make a really interesting little board game selection, which I think is really cool.
Like the Tinkerbell carrying the chef's knife there. That's quite cool.
Yeah, so they've done really fun, interesting things with this, and it's a really nicely, well-loved series. So if you're interested in playing Unmatched, but you wanted to wait until they did something comic book based, they've now done all these Marvel heroes throughout next year.
And is there going to be minis in it then?
Yeah, so there'll be miniatures for all of these. So there'll be miniatures for Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Squirrel Girl, etc. So yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Marvelous.
Exactly. Yeah, the joke never gets old.
Never. Well, we're not supposed to say cool anymore.
No, we won't say cool. I'm going to say rad and bodacious from now on.
And sick.
And
sick.
Yeah.
That's
so talking about a rad and bodacious, awesome game, Monster Fight Club have previewed that they are going to be taking Cyberpunk Red to the tabletop in a different fashion. So it exists, obviously, as a role-playing game, and it also now exists as a video game, albeit a buggy one. But you'll also be able to
with
dive
Keanu Reeves again. But apparently his acting's really stiff.
Yeah, but that's just Keanu Reeves.
which I can believe, because have you seen the ads for it? You know, what makes you a criminal in 3077? Getting caught. So seize the day, I'm set it on fire. I'm like, wow, that is stiff. Even in that ad.
Yeah, but he's cool when he says it, so it doesn't matter. So,
I guess,
and he's also Keanu freaking Reeves. So.
But I guess
anytime I need to see an acting class from Keanu Reeves, I'll just stick on Bram Stoker's Dracula again. Oh no! Lucy, the vampires have come to get us.
Oh dear!
We're not going there for high art.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a reason it's not Oscar winner Keanu Reeves.
Yes, very true.
Yeah.
It's fridge smashing John Wick. Keanu Reeves.
I just need a blank canvas for him to punch people with.
That's it.
But this is going to be a skirmish game. No sign of Keanu Reeves in here, unfortunately, at the moment, where you're going to be taking on the role
I'll be surprised.
Well, there probably will be a miniature at some point, because these are the official miniatures that they'd make and stuff. But you're going to be taking on the role of a gang of individuals. It may be a gang of netrunners or edge runners. It may be a gang of lawmen. It may be just a gang of gangers, as it were, and you're going to be fighting for control of the different cities within the cyberpunk world and Night City itself as well. All of the miniatures that you can see here actually exist already as part of their larger collection, because they do all of the official character miniatures that you can use for the role-playing game, Cyberpunk Red, which is also now available in PDF and physical format as well. So this is going to be a skirmish game that you can use alongside the role-playing game and that kind of thing, just to try to dive in and enjoy more Cyberpunk effectively.
That's it. And it will probably work too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It will definitely work as soon as you get
glitches.
Yes, minus the glitches.
I like that even in the far future of 2077, the provos are still on the case. Look at that.
But an interesting thing actually about these sets as well. Obviously, they kind of look like they're all just going to be like one-piece miniatures. For a lot of the new ones they've done as part of these sort of like combat zone sets, you actually get a choice of different heads. So you'll still have the similar bodies moving between all of them, but you'll actually be able to swap out the heads and stuff if you want to try and get a little bit of variation in there, which is kind of cool. All the miniatures are actually plastic too.
Well, what's the point of this? There's no point of having variation heads here.
Well, there would be for some of the sort of like the guys with the pistols, because obviously, it could be just a different guy with the pistol standing in the same stance, which is.
But they all have flipping scheming.
The Northern Ireland national costume.
That's it.
Well, I'm sure they'll have different heads that don't have balaclavas on. So
maybe some of them will have it rolled up before they go in.
Halfway around, yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
Or maybe they'll just have them shaking their heads like in Three Lions, so that you can't see them on the TV.
I don't know. Do you have that stuff over in England where you
facial recognition,
where you walk up to the bank and there's a picture on the door saying acceptable face mask and unacceptable face mask with a balaclava?
We don't actually have that, but I'm sure we will do next year.
We literally have that. Yeah. Acceptable face mask, balaclava, unacceptable face mask.
So Ireland was perfectly suited for the pandemic before it even began.
Oh, yeah.
You already have the masks lying around. So.
That's it. Well, you say that. They usually have a hole right here.
Well, yeah, true.
Where you need it.
So they're not very useful. Yeah. But yeah. Monster Fight Club, as I was saying, have a huge shop dedicated to all of the different cyber miniatures they've already done so far. They've done loads of characters and NPCs and that kind of thing. So if you're wanting to dive in and get yourself prepped for Combat Zone ahead of its release next year, you can do that right now and enjoy playing the role-playing game with some miniatures before you do so. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Sticking with sci-fi, but moving to a decidedly different style of world. We also got a preview of what's coming out in January 2021 for the world of Infinity. And here we have a bunch of new releases for those people diving into play just your regular games of Infinity, and also those people playing Code One as well. So we start off with the Jaith Cutthroats for you Shasvasti players. So if you like your aliens, you've got some new options here. These are hardened soldiers that have been sort of like tested in the mines and forges and stuff of alien worlds, and so they're ready to get stuck in and kick some ass for your Shasvasti and your combined, which is pretty cool. If you prefer your nomads and you want to go a little bit sort of quirky, you've got the Tunguska cheer killers, not cheerleaders, who are for your nomad players, which I think are pretty badass. If you're going for kind of like a sucker punch vibe in your games of Infinity, these would be pretty cool to play around with. Yeah. So,
especially love the one rocking the baseball bat.
Yep. Even in the far future, a baseball bat will smash your face.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And the nice thing about it is you never need to stop to reload.
Exactly.
You just keep going over.
For those players playing Code One, there are 2 new booster packs. So if you've been sort of like slowly getting into the game and enjoying that slightly more cut down version of Infinity, you have both a Yujing booster pack, which comes with a selection of new characters and specialists. So you've got hackers and that kind of thing in there, alongside a Pan-Oceania one as well. So there's 2 new booster packs in there, which are a good stepping point on from what you've been playing around with already. For those people that want to dive in and play as the cybernetically enhanced to the nines Aleph, you've also got their Operation S, that's not a typo, Operation S team, which is diving in with a new action pack. And again, this comes with everything you'd need to get started as Aleph in your games of Infinity. So you've got the bots, you've got loads of line troopers, and you've got some specialists in there like hackers and stuff as well. And then to cap things all off, we've also got John Hawkwood, who is a new merc officer who will work for a selection of different outfits, if you so wish. Comes armed to the nines as well. And a really awesome little guy to throw into your games. Again, apparently, according to his background, he's a little bit impetuous, and he may seem like he's doing the wrong thing, but it's all for the right reasons. So an interesting one to throw into the mix there too. So,
Super fantastic, great.
Yeah, as Carlos would say. These are all going to be available in mid-January 2021. So if you're looking to save some money over the Christmas period from your family and want to spend it on some Infinity, wait to see all this stuff popping up then. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, fantastico.
Yeah,
sick, rad.
Sticking with the idea of badass stuff, not cool stuff, badass stuff, we also have 3D Alien Worlds, who have put together an impressive samurai castle, which in fact you probably could use if you were going to play some Infinity and sort of sci-fi up if you wanted to, actually.
Yujing.
Yeah. But this is a new 3D printable kit to make this 460 millimeter tall, awesome samurai castle. Right?
Wow.
It comes with that big chunky stone base, as you can see there, although you don't have to use that if you don't want to. But then built on top of that, you also then have 3 layers of individual makeup, as you can see here, which come with all their interior rooms. You get all the stairs that you can 3D print separately as well, and all the different gubbins that you get to see inside there too. And this means that you can fight off an actual siege from the very bottom of the castle all the way to the top, where the daimyo is waiting for that showdown with the enemy leader, which would be pretty cool. Or maybe, as you can see in some of the pictures, throwing some ninjas sneaking in through the window to try and assassinate somebody. That would be pretty cool too. I also remember a Hitman game where you had to infiltrate a massive samurai castle too, so you could even go with something like that and do something a bit pulpy if you wanted to as well. But yes, I hope your 3D printers are primed and ready, because this will most likely take quite a while to print off. But yeah, very cool.
Didn't Bruce Lee have a movie or something where he had to travel up through a building? Like Death Game or Death?
Game of Death.
Game of Death or something.
Yeah, he had to fight up through the different levels, fight different martial artists and fighters, yeah. So.
Ooh, very 1980s arcade.
That's where Chuck Norris got his debut, wasn't it? When he was fighting against Bruce Lee. So, yeah. maybe you do that instead. There's a Bruce Lee model in the Unmatched game, so maybe there'll be a Chuck Norris one in the future. Who knows? So use those two and put them together. But yeah, very cool stuff there if you want to get some 3D printing.
Where's that from? 3D Alien Worlds.
3D Alien Worlds, yes.
Perfect for your samurai army.
Yeah.
Is that a .com? 3dalienworlds.com.
Yeah, they do some really nice stuff. Well, they started off doing some really nice things for Necrons and Tau.
I think the Tau stuff we'd seen previously, where they have like the half energy shields as if they're taking hits on it and they're glowing. Yeah. It's an impressive beast.
Oh, wow.
I'd love to play something right through that. Yeah. That would be class.
You have to click on the individual pictures and open them in a new tab to get them.
Oh, well, every time I click it, I get that. Well, you know.
Yeah, if you right click on one of those images, it'll open up for you to see later. So there you go.
Open a new tab. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
That was a struggle. Oh, that's cool the way they painted that in.
Yeah.
Is that painted or printed?
I imagine printed. But printed would certainly be the easier way of doing it.
I think so.
Yeah, but really awesome little kit from them. And as I say, they do some really nice. There's actually full guides in PDF format, and they've done a bunch of different like blog articles where they talk about them individually and sort of like talk about the different components and how to print them. So if you're interested in sort of diving into that, there's lots of different ways to go and do that too. So
these jobbies here. Oh, here we go. Yes. Look at this.
Yeah, so they show you off the different levels and how they look and give you some tips and that kind of thing too. So it's really cool.
Sweet.
Very nicely put together.
3dalienworlds.com. Go and check it out.
Yes. And we're going to finish off with something weird and wonderful.
Because it's sick.
So this is Flytrap Factory, who are from down under somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but they are from south of the equator.
Well, let's just have a guess. Let's just say they're from New Zealand.
Oh, but if they're from Oz, then they're going to get really annoyed. And if they're from Oz and they're from New Zealand, they're going to get really...
if we've got it wrong and you're that annoyed, why not fly over to Northern Ireland and tell us personally?
That's it.
But this,
fly on over here and... if you think you're hard enough.
Yeah. The thing is, they probably are. But this is a set of really awesome miniatures that they've come out with that are hopefully going to see the light of day quite soon, because their web store is currently sort of like in the works, as it were. But this is the International Bureau for the Investigation of Eldritch Phenomenons. And this is a selection of, I want to say they're gnomes.
Gnomes, yeah.
But I also get like a goblin gremlin vibe about them as well. That they've kind of created here to give the kind of like a mashup of fantastical and Lovecraftian together, which I think is really nice. And all the characters, as you can see here, have got that kind of like smoggy London town feel to them, which I think is really nice. Lots of big, bits of facial hair. You got beards and mutton chops and all that kind of thing as well, which is really nice to see. But you could throw these into an alternative style of Cthulhu adventure on the tabletop, which would be pretty nice to see. Really nice 28mm range from these guys too, which should hopefully, fingers crossed, be coming out for everyone to pick up later next year, which would be really nice to see. Ooh, they remind me of the kind of things that Crooked Dice would pick up and add into their collection as well. So yeah,
look at that, squid-faced sons of guns. I was going to say something else because I normally finish the phrase squid-faced with a completely different word there, but I won't because it would have to get beeped. So they do look great. There was a GURPS game years ago called GURPS Goblins, which was
cool.
Victoriana, but just goblins. And it wasn't that they were fancy; they were the only race on the planet. So it's not like there was anything else, but that they were very akin to that, And seeing little fellas in massive stovepipe hats or rocking bowler hats and that sort of thing is unusual.
This is the place, flytrapfactory.com.
Yeah, so that's the site where they show off some of their ranges. But a lot of the stuff, as I say, is sort of still in the works. They have been doing lots of bits and pieces here and there, but they're coming together to try and, I think, get a lot of this stuff out there in a more sort of like stable fashion, I guess you'd say, next year. So, yeah. Go check them out. There's some really cool stuff. Especially go and check out their Facebook and that kind of thing as well. So go and have a peek at that.
Sweet. Well, that wraps it up, peeps. We're getting close to Christmas now. Only thing left to do is go and look at the Kickstarters.
Does Warhammer 40k rock your world? Check out store.ontabletop.com today, where you can save up to 20% across a wide range of hobby games, tools, and paints, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Star Wars, Flames of War, Bolt Action, and many other incredible ranges. We are based here in Northern Ireland and rated 5 out of 5 on Trustpilot.
Kickstarter time, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tasty boys, what do we got this week?
So close.
Almost
We were
lasted
so
an entire
close.
show. Okay, so the first, let's ignore that. The first Kickstarter is from Paul Smith, who has put together a neat little tiny Kickstarter, which is all about making some slightly old Hammer style Chaos Goblins of the Weird Moon Tribe. So this is going to be a set of 21 unique mutant goblins cast in the finest of metals for you to use in your 28mm tabletop games. So if you're someone who likes diving in and painting up classic armies for the likes of Warhammer, maybe you want to mix these in for a little bit of something like Mordheim or some Night Age stuff, for example, these would be a nice way to go. Even if you wanted to try and do something a little bit more on the skirmish angle of things, you could use these as a bunch of characters for your warband as well, which are very, very nice. There are a range of different characters included in this set within the 21. You have leaders, you've got troops, you've got some slightly more monstrous creatures, like there's the big Gorok Weird Moon, the king of the Weird Moon clan, who comes on the back of a giant chaos battle slug, which is quite the awesome name.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah, there he is indeed, sitting atop his mighty battle slug. All of the core troops come with a mix of different weapons. So you've got some of them armed with melee weapons, some of them armed with bows, range weapons, and that kind of thing. And you've also got some specialists in there as well.
I suppose for the trails, you could just put a bit of gloss down.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true, yeah.
Or run a Pritt stick down the back of your board where as he's moving. Yeah, so.
I can just see you going around a neoprene map with Pritt stick.
Just running a Pritt stick around. That's just the way he's all. What are you doing? I'm staying in character.
Has he moved this turn? Well, let's look at the Pritt stick tree. Yes. Yes, he has.
Yeah, that's why you should always have a Pritt stick as part of your wargaming collection.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I absolutely love these to bits.
They are amazing. Yeah.
And there are so many things you could use them for. Saga, with a little bit of magic, for example, or Frostgrave.
Actually, you might be able to get away with just having like a spritzer spray. I just spray out a wet patch as he's driving around. Yeah. That might be less destructive to your neoprene mat. You might get away with that.
And when your opponent is taking like 10 minutes to think about their turn, just spray them in the face. Just like...
When the cat is attempting to get up on the table and destroy all the miniatures.
Yeah. That'd be better
on sidebar.
than winging a Pritt stick at a cat, which would be terribly bad. Don't do that.
None of that.
No, because it would only go off and get high on the Pritt stick, and it would look like a weird cat that turned up in that guy's yard. Man!
Or the drunk squirrel that's been going around on the news these days. But yeah, a really awesome little sort of like old Hammer style collection, as I was saying before. A very small campaign, already funded, but it's ready to go basically. So if you're diving in and you want to pick up some really neat and unique looking miniatures, then this is one to go and check out. So,
yeah.
I
always does excellent little things like this.
I would say that'll be delivering pretty sharpish too.
Yep, I would imagine we're going to see a lot more of this, well, sort of delivering in the new year. And then maybe if this was a nice success, we'll see more stuff from Paul Smith as well in the future.
I mean, if you've not come across him before, I can't remember whether or not we've done it as an indie, but Dark Hollows, or Dark Hollow.
I believe we have.
Is the miniature company. And as far as the miniatures go, the monsters, oh my God, the monsters. Because you've seen there, like the slug is a prime example, but there's some great trolls about.
Cool.
There's a particularly standout one that has a giant baby's face. Now, not a tiny baby's face because that'd be ridiculous, but a troll with just a huge bulbous baby's head on it. It's just magnificent. So he always does these little sort of bespoke short Kickstarters. So
I like those, yeah.
They fill up nicely, and you can just dip in. You're not having to throw a month's wages at it to get old single days. Just go, here you go. Have these mad miniatures, and then have a set of moon-faced cavalry coming charging at people. Yeah.
It's almost like this is exactly what people should be using Kickstarter for, making small, little, unique boutique opportunities.
That'll never catch on.
That's such a sick idea, though.
Yeah. That is a deadly idea.
So there you go.
Totally rad. Yep.
It's funded. Chaos Goblins of the Weird Moon Tribe. Wired Moon Tribe? Weird Moon Tribe?
Weird. We're going to go with weird.
Yeah.
Weird,
cool.
Weird, isn't it? Weird.
What's up next, Ben?
So, stepping away from traditionally sculpted miniatures to 3D sculpted ones, we have Raven Twin Miniatures and their Secrets of the Ages Kickstarter campaign. Now, they have previously been on Patreon and also through My Mini Factory doing 3D printable versions of all of their miniatures. So if you wanted to dive in and pick up a lot of their stuff right now is as STL files, you can do that.
So you've given me 2 links here, Ben. Where would you like to start?
So we'll start with the Kickstarter and have a look at that. Okay. So because this is the sort of main focus of what they're doing right now, is because obviously you can get all their stuff as STL files, but what they want to do through this Kickstarter is be able to bring you 4 massive armies that can be printed off by them and sent to you as actual physical miniatures. So if you don't have a 3D printer, then you can get resin miniatures instead in this 28mm format. So what they're trying to work on is bringing a lot of their range from Patreon and My Mini Factory over to everyone else. So you can get Lizardmen, you can get the Kingdom of Equitane, which is very much a Bretonian style army. You've also got a set of Chaos Infernal Dwarves, and then there's finishing things off, they also have the Sylvan Elves as well. And this Kickstarter, as you might imagine, if they've been going for such a while, is chock-a-block full of all sorts of heroes, troops, monsters, and more that you can use to make up your armies, as you can see here as we're scrolling through and showing them all off. But yeah, a really stunning, like incredibly over the top and heroic section of opportunities here for you to dive into and play around with. There's nothing subtle about these miniatures, so
I smell Kings of War armies.
Oh yes, they'd be perfect for Kings of War armies. Yeah.
Just looking at the Warhawk riders, there is a potential for Dracon riders.
And if you're a fan of your sort of like classic I say classic Warhammer inspired Aztec and Mayan style Lizardmen, then they definitely offer that up in spades as well, which is nice to see, as you can see here. So yeah,
if they are Kingdom of Equitane, then I'm assuming that's 9th Age adjacent. I'm
yes,
sure that's what the Bretts are called there now.
I think that's what they're trying to like focus in on, sort of like an option there. And obviously, Saurians is like a term that I think is bandied around and used when it comes to the 9th Age stuff as well, as well as a lot of other games too. So yeah, lots of different options in here, and a lot of them drawn from kind of Warhammer past, but sort of like given a tweak here and there and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Wacky. It's interesting way they've done the pledges.
Mm-hmm.
You pledge for essentially whatever the miniatures are you want, and then work it out yourself, people. Yeah. Break out the calculator time.
Yeah, so it's done in kind of like a modular fashion. So you kind of like put in a value, and then you based off that, you pick and choose what you want and write that down.
Pick the packs you want afterwards.
Oh, the Caymans look badass. Those are so cool. A nice twist on the Croxagore.
Croxagore.
Yeah.
Although, cool. I do actually think I prefer the Caymans to the
traditional ones. Yeah.
No, I do. I like them. I'm not doing. I've stayed away from Lizardmen for years. I'm not doing them now.
Perfect to paint with contrast paints. Lizardmen, very nice and easy to paint with contrast.
That's true. John did that. He did some skinks once.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Flipping heck, does this ever end?
No.
I would scroll faster if I were you, because otherwise you're just going to start seeing Lizardmen.
Like me, some of these guys with the big tongues.
Oh, the damsel is magnificent.
Where?
Oh, you're not going to see her for a couple of hours, mate.
All right. I need to go a lot faster.
Yeah.
As I say, they've been working for quite a while through Patreon and My Mini Factory, so this is a culmination of a lot of work over the last while. So, yeah.
Oh, flipping heck. Is it going to...
any moment now you're going to see her. You're getting so close. You should probably swap across.
There we go. Equitane. There we go. So you got your Griff, you got your Duke on Pegasus, Duke on regular horse.
Duck with a banner, duck with a claymore. What do you want to give a duck?
There's the
some
damsel.
Sort of explosive grenade. Look at her. Magnificent.
I'm getting like Dark Soul vibes from her as well. That's pretty cool.
I've heard of that game. See, I'm down with the kids. It's interesting that they're going to do it in-house, because My Mini Factory is a place where you can go if you don't have a 3D printer to get stuff printed. So
I would imagine they probably want to try and consolidate maybe some of what they're doing. And also a Kickstarter gives them a good opportunity to raise a lot more money in like a marketing fashion as well,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of be
yeah.
like, we can now
Really
use all this money to
profile.
now actually get a lot more stuff done in the future as well. So yeah,
Well, it exposes people as well to them if they weren't aware of their work already.
yeah.
I'm liking these dwarves.
Yeah, your sort of classic infernal Babylonian-inspired
but-
ones. Yeah.
But with helmets that aren't quite massive enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
no,
the
They're-
tallest
they're
of hats.
They're only slightly massive.
Yeah, I'm not normally a fan of the whole evilly, chaosy looking dwarf thing, but these guys are kind of cool.
If it's any help, that's what Games Workshop were aiming for many years, but they always kind of screwed it at the last minute. I'm not sure why.
Yeah. No, I do love that.
Massive
I
hats,
love the avatar of nature. He's awesome. I do like myself a good tree man.
Oh, Pathfinders are nice.
Yes. Yeah. These are your elves
Yeah,
and stuff that you go
I'm
through.
not doing Sylvan King.
Flippin' heck, these are big birds.
Yeah, there's me by Dracon Rider stand-ins if I was going to do Sylvan King. It may look like I'm reaching for an army list right now to see what I need, but I assure you I'm not.
Where are we now? We're nearly there. Stretch
We're in
goal.
the stretch goals now.
Snakes!
So, yeah.
It's a snake!
Yeah. Oh man, that's a cool giant. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm getting
seen him before.
I'm getting demon vibes from. Is it? What's his name? Tim Curry? Not Tim Curry. No. What's his name?
Wilderness Girl. Tim
Yeah.
Curry from Legend.
Yeah. I'm getting legend vibes from his face. That's what I was
Right.
thinking of. Yeah. So-
Yeah.
What was he? I think he was called The Darkness, but I could
He
be
was,
wrong
yeah,
there.
in that. Yeah. I watched that film again recently, and it was a lot slower than I remember it. There's a lot of just random stuff happening for a long time.
Dancing. Let's have a dance scene.
Yeah.
And there we go. Whoa,
Boom
made
goes
it.
the dynamite.
just in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
Flippin' heck. Well, you know.
Now you can go through it all on the Raven Twin Miniatures page that you've also
Oh,
opened.
yes, I forgot about
Well,
that.
yeah, you can see that they've got a lot of this stuff up there, obviously already for you to go and pick up. Yeah, all inspired by their Patreons, brought to life by those guys, and available through My Mini Factory if you want to get them sooner rather than later.
Well, I'm going to click on a couple of things because here we'll probably get bigger picked, I would assume.
We shall. And immediately you pick the Infernal Dwarves. So
Because I think they're pretty cool, actually.
He would. Look at him. Look at them.
I think you just like their shields. I think you're drawn by their shields, Lloyd.
It has that. It's incredibly, I'm going to say, typical of the Babylonian style dwarf, and then you hit those shields, and they're curved more like a Roman,
Yeah.
and it works. It just works. Not sure what's going on with the tabernacle on the front there. It's a bit freaky, but you know, is that the teletest card right in the middle of that? The circle with all the squares.
That's it.
Oh, no, you have to paint on every shield a little girl and then a clown ragdoll. I'm wondering where those, because is My Mini Factory the same country? Obviously, everything gives in dollars these days, so it's difficult to tell. I'm just wondering if it would make more sense for people to buy from one rather than the other, depending on shipping. Or are they both going to be?
I don't think the entire collection's up on the My Mini Factory either as well. So so that's obviously an element for you to take in mind. So yeah.
Elephant.
What the heck? Go away.
Element. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure people can have a poke around. It looks like My Mini Factory's London. So,
London.
London.
So yeah.
Sweet. Well, if you just want to go and check that out, what is that? myminifactory.com. And the Kickstarter is Raven Twin Miniatures.
Yeah, there'll be a link
Secrets
to
of the
their My
Ages.
Mini Factory, and I'll put a link to the Kickstarter at the same time in the show notes. So if you want to go and check those out, you can go and click on the links down below. Milady.
Cool.
So there you
Right, peeps. Remember, this was the last weekender of the year. Oh. Ooh. Oh. But I think it'll survive. It's only 2 weeks, and then you'll see our lovely mugs again.
go. Yeah.
Eh? 2
Don't worry,
weeks.
there's plenty of stuff for you to watch.
Yeah. Remember to tune in next week for Frostgrave stuff. Remember to get your comments in for that awesome prize, the one that we're giving away on this week's show. And remember to get your comments in for the awesome prizes that we're giving away on next week's videos. Remember, cultists, you have that extra chance to win. And if you haven't seen enough of us before Christmas, come on over, get stuck into the XLBS tomorrow. But until then, Happy New Year. and Merry Christmas. And that's the wrong way round. But bollocks. It'll end the show. Bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.